and welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back in. Here we are. You might be hearing a dog lap up some water. You might be hearing other things happening in this apartment. But gosh dang it. Oh man, you better believe things are happening. Should I have done this a couple of hours ago? I should have. At one point, did I take a nap? Yes. I was so tired from the gym this morning. But that's what I do. And now here we are. Here we are sitting and recording this show. And I am vamping because I am swiping away at things on my phone. Nothing about just like tasks from Google Tasks and what else? New York Times things. You think somebody takes a beat? Oh, I have a new Amazon delivery. Nothing important. It was treadmill lube. You gotta lube up a treadmill all the time. Where is it? Was it delivered to my package room? Oh, goodness. I gotta go get that. Here we are. Welcome back. What's been happening? Welcome back to it from a break. I just released a new interview with comedian Maggie Crane. She was very lovely and funny. A lot of energy over there. But she's a nice, fun person, and I'm glad I sat down with her to talk to her. It took some doing. What's else been going on? I made a pitch sheet for interviews. That's a behind the scenes thing. What it is it's just like a one sheet a PDF of what C Plus Comedy is, what the interviews are, what the Constitutionals is, and then as I'm writing out, and then who I've spoken to before. So as I'm writing out different like the descriptions, like okay. So, the interviews is the video portion, the video version. Right. But then you go to the audio goes to the Constitutionals. I don't just talk to no comedians, I talk to everybody. But here's 28 comedians I've spoken to. Craig Ferguson, Tiffany Haddish, Larry the Cable Guy. Oh my gosh. I'm wearing a new shirt. My sister got me some clothes for Christmas. She got me 2 shirts. One of them is striped. I don't wear stripes. And then the other one is this one. And even though it's a medium, it's a loose medium. Not that I expected it to be tight. Well, Christmas happened. I was able to finish all my Christmas movies. And then December 23rd, I was just recording late night lately, so this story is fresh in my mind. Anecdote, not a story. The December 23rd, I read that Stranger Things is ending on New Year's Eve, and I think, okay, all I've been watching is Christmas movies for the past week. Like truly, it was just Christmas movies, and then when I wanted a break, it was The Simpsons. The Simpsons is on Disney Plus right now, streaming live. And I thought, well, I haven't seen the show since the first season. Like I watched the first season. I went, this is not a good show. And then December 23rd, I said, I'm going to watch the entire show after starting at season 2. Did I watch a recap of season 1? I sure did not. I remember the lights were on the wall and Will was gone and some other stuff. Demogorgon. Barb. I remember Barb. And then I watched the show from December 26th at 8 a.m. until January 1st at 5 p.m. That's why I finished the last episode. I'm not somebody who likes to do that binge watching thing. I'm not somebody who likes to watch one show all the way through. Uh, so this was a tough feat for me, and I didn't enjoy it. I did not enjoy it. There were moments where I kept expecting for the show to pick up for me. It's not to say any chat about the quality. I do think that the entire time I was watching the show, I kept thinking, oh, this show is going to have, just based on the fervor of the series, it is going to have the biggest revisionist history in a couple of years. I truly believe that Stranger Things will have a giant revisionist history, and people will go, "Oh no, that show is not entirely good." I'm moving the camera over because I interviewed a bunch. Here's a side note. I did have a bunch of interviews this week, it was my fault. I stacked them all up over the course of 24 hours, and then but on a couple of them, and I'll get back to Stranger Things in a second. On three on all of them, on all of the interviews, the pets were acting up, and Maverick was very needy. And at one point, he came over here, and one of the interviews was at 9:00 in the morning because they're overseas. And Maverick came over here and tapped his nose on the standing desk, and the standing desk started to move up. And I was just like, "Oh wait, hold on!" And then I was like, "Oh, here's the dog," and they wanted to see the dog, and it's great. But yes, there's several interviews coming your way. Not because of the pitch sheet; those were set up weeks before. Maggie Crane was one of them. That was one of the interviews I managed to set up and then put out immediately. That was such a quick turnaround. I put out in like 18 hours. It's fantastic. It only took me an hour to do the work, but it was still pretty good. I still cut it. Still good at. So back to Stranger Things. I understand that people enjoy the show, and maybe, they like references and needle drops and stuff like that. But as I was watching the show on the couch, and while I was cycling, and while I was on the treadmill, nothing ever clicked. And that usually happens with shows I do that stuff with. With Blind Spot, I would never have finished 5 seasons of Blind Spot if I didn't like the show. And that show has some pretty crazy things happening, especially the ending. The ending was, when the ending was happening, I went, "Oh, this is pleasant." And then there's a twist thrown in, and then you're like, "Why is this happening? Well, why do we have to do this?" There's a twist at the end of the Stranger Things thing. And they're the same twist. They're the same twist. Yes, they are the same exact twist. Now that I'm putting it all together, that's crazy. The twists share similarities. So if you've seen the ending of, and I'm sure you've definitely never seen the ending of Blind Spot, but if you know what happens at the end of Stranger Things, then you can guess what happens at the end of Blind Spot, a show about a woman who gets her memories taken away from her, and then clues are tattooed all over her body. I think it's a great show. I do think that it's very clear that, again, I do like the show. It's very clear that in this, when they eventually put, it's your typical procedural show where they're going to put the main white male character with the main white female character, and they do a time jump in season 3. So there's 5 seasons. They do a time jump in season 3, and they just put them together, and they have them married, and they're like, "We're done." And he's that main white male character is basically just, he's not written out, but he's written down to where he is no longer the one that they are trying to make interesting. And then everybody else is they're given their chances. Anyway, Stranger Things. I just have so many. I'm not a fan of references. I'm not a fan of needle drops. That's my biggest issue with movies like Turning Red. Disney is better than that, and I can't believe they put out a shit movie like Turning Red. Oh, I hate Turning Red. I do not like needle drops, and I'm very, when I saw the trailer to Hoppers, that movie about that girl that goes into the beaver, and you have a Missy Elliott song playing, that makes me think just write a song. It's the easiest thing. That'll get you Golden Globes. That'll get you the Oscar. Just write a song. I don't want to hear a song from the 2000s play over a cartoon movie. The most I want to hear is in Toy Story 1, when Woody and Buzz are at the climax of the movie. They're chasing after the moving truck, and there's a cutaway to Molly in the seat, in her car seat, and what's his name? Tony? What's his name? Andy. Andy's mom is driving, and they're listening to Hakuna Matata. Ugh. That's funny. I don't think hearing, Highway to the Danger Zone during a cartoon movie is funny. Ugh, it's so annoying. Anyway. What are we doing for this new year? Things are not any different. Things are not any different when it comes to the world. Well, maybe. This comes from Variety, and it's written by Daniel Daddario. Daddario. Tony DeCopel is making CBS Evening News all about Tony DeCopel. This is I'm gonna split from this story I'm staying with the story, staying with the topic, but I'm splitting from this article for a very hot second. When I came over to the desk to write when I came to America, when I came over to the desk to write the monologue jokes for Late Night Lately, I was reading through stories I could possibly choose for the Constitutionals, and I was on Google News, and there was a story from maybe Variety, maybe the Hollywood Reporter. I think it might have been the Hollywood Reporter, and it was coverage of Megyn Kelly, right wing journalist, news host Megyn Kelly, just lambasting Tony DeCopel, because if you have not heard, Tony took to the airwaves last Saturday, I think, to talk about. Hold on. Tony DeCopel is a journalist from CBS. He was hosting CBS Mornings with Gayle King and Nate. What's his name? What's his last name? And is it Berlanti? Anyway, with Gayle and Nate, and he was tapped by that chubby little troll Barry Weiss to. She's a woman. You can't make fun of how she looks. To host, to be the new host of CBS Evening News, ousting Maurice Dubois and John Dickerson, who were given the impossible job of being the voices of a dying version of media. Anyway. But I like Maurice Dubois and I like John Dickerson, but they were given impossible tasks by a company that wants impossible standards. Anyway, DeCopel was given the reins of CBS Evening News, and he was supposed to start on Monday, I think, and he started on Saturday after our Führer, President Donald Trump, announced the capture of Venezuelan leader, I don't fucking know his name, Nicolas Maduro, Nicolas Maduro and his wife. So DeCopel took the airwaves for that, and then he had an interview with Pete Hegseth about the whole operation, and then Monday was supposed to be his real first day. So we kind of got a test view of what Tony is and who he will be as a broadcaster. And then at the top of this week, there was a story about him going to his hometown in Miami, and he cried because his backstory is his dad dealt drugs or some shit. And then his wife, Katie Tur, who works for Miss Now, her parents were helicopter pilots, news pilots, and all that stuff. And they have interesting backstories. I don't know if we need to know them at all. Any Hoosers. DeCopel cried twice this week over some bullshit, and it's the same. And in the same way that I I I hate this about Jimmy Kimmel. Um, it's we don't need broadcasters crying. Um, so to get back to that Megyn Kelly thing, Megyn Kelly on her show. This is again, I did not watch the show. I read this via the Hollywood Reporter. Megyn Kelly just just ripped Tony DeCopel a new one, saying like, "Why are you crying?" Calling him, emasculating him, their words, um, and the like, and to some extent, this is so crazy. And, but to some extent, I agree with her. Like, you don't need. I'm not going to call him not a man for crying. It's okay to cry, but you don't need to cry on air over this thing. She said that in the article. She said it was reported that she said it's okay to cry over a president's assassination, which I will not be crying over. I think I'll be celebrating. I'll be celebrating the same way when Biden was elected, and it was during the pandemic, and everybody in Atlanta left their homes and went to Piedmont Park. That's what every single person did, and it was the greatest day in the world. It was so great. I was texting, "What you doing? What are you doing? Let's go!" Oh my god. But in many cases, in that in a certain to a certain extent, she is correct. There is no way that Tony DeCopel and now let's go back to Daniel's the Dad of Dario's variety piece. Tony DeCopel is making the show about him. And when you are hosting CBS Evening News, you're not just a voice for CBS. You're not. I want to close my work laptop. You're not just a voice for CBS. You are also the mouthpiece. Excuse me. You're giving you're the mouthpiece. You're the mouthpiece for the audience, regurgitating the news to us in a way that we're supposed to easily digest it. And I know I'm not putting words together very well, but I'll get to it. And to come in on day 2 and 3 with many mistakes, because there were flubs. He had a lot of some teleprompter issues and some story based issues that just haven't worked out. And he's like, oh, just a lot of day 1 flubs here. He said, I think that's exactly what he said. It's you are not the topic, the story, the subject. I relate to it in this way. On Peloton, when I take a class from an instructor, and let's say it's a Taylor Swift, yoga class. There's no fucking reason why you need to start crying in the middle of that class, because this is a very specific thing I'm mentioning. There's no reason you need to be crying in that class because this song reminds you of your sister. There's no reason you need to be doing a rowing class that features the music of the musical Wicked, and you start crying because you relate to Elphaba. I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just going to say a general number. We are not there for you. We are there for the music. I'm not there because this person is teaching this class. In fact, I don't take that person a lot. But for $60 a month, I'm taking who the fuck I want. We are not there to take that class because you are teaching it. We're there to take that class because Taylor Swift songs are in there. I'm there to take that rowing class because I like the Wicked musical songs. It's not about you, Tony. It's not about you unnamed Peloton instructors who you could easily find. So to have this man come on this show and kind of just point the lens at him, it's a little unnerving. It's not a little. It's unnerving because this show is supposed to be representative of world news. You know who I have not heard from David, is it David Muir? David Muir. He's the host of ABC World News Tonight. And you know what? The only thing I know is that he hosts that show. Same thing when Lester Holt hosted NBC Nightly News. George Stephanopoulos is this week. And Nancy O'Donnell. Oh, for a split second, I forgot that her name is not Nancy, it's Nora. Nora O'Donnell, when she hosted the show, it wasn't about her. Tony is, but we couldn't accept a woman in that seat. You're just gonna get period blood everywhere. Anyway, and I think a lot of this stems from Tony's insistence. I used to like Tony a lot, and now he's just going down a track that I'm thinking, Katie Tur, you got to get out of there, honey. But he compared himself, I believe, to Walter Cronkite. To Walker Cronkite, Walker's grandson. He's really trying to be a country star, but it's just not working out for him. Because at one point he said that he's going to be more accountable than Walter Cronkite. We don't have that type of broadcaster doesn't exist anymore. Lester people that I get that was people like Lester Holt. Those people are gone or they're aging out, and we can't be comparable. We can't be comparing ourselves to them anymore, to that style of broadcaster anymore, because that style of broadcasting doesn't exist. We have to look at how cable news has transformed what news is. People are getting news everywhere, and it's fast and it's frenzied, and in a lot of cases, it's untruthful and unfair. So to want to be the next Walter Cronkite, but to have an opinion and do a puff piece on yourself and to cry during it, those are opposite ends of what you want to do. This is a nice review, I guess, or feature piece about this show and about Tony in general, and I think you should just check it out because I also think it's very funny. All right, this next one comes from Awful Announcing. ESPN has a lot of checks to cash in 2026, written by Drew Lerner. Disney's ESPN is going through a bit of a change. It's going through something that they are now more audience focused, audience facing. They have their own direct to consumer app. You can subscribe to ESPN without subscribing to cable, and now there's going to be NFL Network integration and linear distribution of NFL Red Zone at some point. Maybe there's a new MLB deal. There's a lot of stuff that's coming down the pike, and we're unsure as an audience of how this is all going to pan out. As Lerner writes, let's begin with that all-important direct-to-consumer app. It's been just 4 months since it started, and it for what it's worth, I think it was launched in a very easygoing way because we knew it was coming over the course of a year, and then it launched, and I wish it were. It should be a separate app. It should not be included in the ESPN app. It shouldn't be something that, and it's also not like I'm watching ESPN all the time. The only time I watch ESPN is when there's a game I want to see. There's nothing else I watch on ESPN. And 30 for 30, that's it. And ESPN Ocho, I watch the Ocho. But it's difficult to because of the YouTube TV integration or the lack thereof, that it's not available for everybody, and arguably on the biggest pay TV service there is at this point in time. It's also very confusing. There's the naming conventions are strange. The unlimited aspect is just something that I'm not a huge fan of. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong window. I was about to click something that did not need to be clicked, and then we would have seen what would happen. There's still no clear timeline for when customers on YouTube TV will see the access to ESPN Unlimited, even though that we were promised it months ago, and that was months after the launch too. Awful Announcing learned in October that the reason these major distributors don't have access to ESPN Unlimited yet is due to technological challenges. Essentially, the engineers working on ESPN's app are still trying to figure out how to onboard tens of millions of users into the platform. Which goes against what we were originally told, in that that everybody was going to be able to access ESPN Unlimited. Then, of course, there's the WWE Premium Live events and programming that was previously exclusive to ESPN Plus, including college sports, PGA Tour coverage, NHL games, and more. I believe there's a new lawsuit about the Premium Live events coverage that just hit ESPN. So, again, where is this all coming from? And then, as Lerner continues, earlier this week, we learned that ESPN's app would not be carrying in-market broadcasts for the MLB teams under the league's media arm this season, as was intended. That group might grow from 6 clubs to as many as 16 this season, with the Washington Nationals seemingly set to become the 7th team after leaving MASN and 9 other MLB teams officially terminating deals with FanDuel Sports Network on Thursday. Instead, in-market fans looking to stream their local MLB will need to utilize their league's own platform. I know for the Atlanta area, if you subscribe to YouTube TV, I believe you don't get. Obviously, we don't get live sports. Not live sports. Live local Hawks games or Braves games because BEIN left YouTube TV years ago. Same thing for Tennis Channel, Tennis Network. I miss it. Their Tennis Network is still there, but the extended arms of the Tennis Network with the live coverage is gone. Live coverage of the good stuff is gone. You'll get a lot of lower level stuff. So, what Lerner is getting at here is that the ESPN Unlimited rollout was hasty. I will agree with him, but I will also take it a step back and say that they rolled it out in such a way that, if you wanted ESPN Unlimited, you could get it. But the promise of the YouTube TV promises have soon they feel died off and died off. They feel died off, and less so. Now would be the time for them to start introducing this stuff, but we'll see. All right, let's move on. This comes from Hollywood Reporter, written by Scott Feinberg. Emmys. TV Academy introduces a Legacy Award to celebrate shows that have made a profound and lasting impact. This just seems to me like a way to get shows that have been around for a long time more consideration at the Emmys. Now, is this a negative thing? I don't know, because at some point, what was it? There were the Oscars wanted to introduce the award for box office achievement, and they've done it. So movies like Spider-Man and Star Wars can get nominated for, and the rest of that stuff can get nominated for Oscars. In some cases, is it a way for you to get an Oscar? Yes. Is it an Oscar that you want? Not really. Now this award is important because shows like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which has been around for 17 years or 21 years, or however long it's been around for, that have not rightly been recognized, may finally get a chance to be recognized. Now, the Legacy Award candidates, you can only get this award once, and you must hit the following criteria: A, accumulated a minimum of 60 episodes across a minimum of 5 seasons. And B, demonstrated continued or sustained relevance, influence, or inspiration to a genre or of television, an existing or new audience or society and culture. Franchise properties must be considered as a whole and awarded as such. Oh, so that's like if Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice, and Firehouse Subs. What was that Firehouse show? Station 91. Station 19. Sorry, I have dyslexia for numbers. Station 19. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is the part I did not know. Shows that are no longer running but made a major impact, such as All in the Family, Will and Grace. So those shows are eligible. So too are ongoing programs, Grey's Anatomy, Sunny, and The Late Show. No, This is how Jimmy Kimmel won the Critics' Choice Award, because we're giving these stupid little awards to people that they do not deserve. No, don't give an award because something is happening to this show at this point in time. Give an award to a show that deserves it. Late Night with Seth Meyers deserves an Emmy. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia deserves an Emmy. In a lot of cases, this feels like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where the White Stripes can. This is a good pool. This is a really good pool, where the White Stripes can be on the ballot for, 2 years or however many times. I don't know who can be on the ballot, and then they can be inducted, and then Jack White on his own can be inducted before the White Stripes are inducted. I just don't like this. I think it needs to be for shows that are ongoing, like Grey's Anatomy and Always Sunny. All in the Family already has its Emmys. Will and Grace already has its Emmys. Let's get Sunny the Emmys they deserve. Programs may be nominated for the Legacy Award by members of the TV Academy's Board of Governors or its Special Awards Committee, or via letters to the TV Academy, members of the industry, or even the general public. Okay, I'm not general public. Also general public. I'm not general public. I'm not in the Academy either, so we gotta figure that shit out. And his final story comes from Etten Vlessing over at the Hollywood Reporter. Movie theaters go public with new effort to stop Warner Bros. Movie sale. This is, again, over the past couple of weeks, over the past couple of months, there's been this effort for Warner Brothers Discovery to sell itself off to the highest bidder. The highest bidder turned out to be Netflix. Paramount Skydance rather, is still gunning after the company, complaining about how unfair it is. Perhaps Warner Brothers is asking for more money, but they're, basically saying, hey, Netflix is the better deal. And the industry, I'm not going to say is up in arms, but they are taking notice, and people are being very vocal about how this is not a good idea. We know my stance. If it's going to be sold, if Warner Brothers is going to be sold, I'd rather go to Netflix than to the Trump-loving Ellisons over at Paramount Skydance. Even Tom Cruise left Paramount. Just saying. I was just saying. Now, movie theater owners are taking their argument to Capitol Hill. This comes from Cinema United. We are deeply concerned that this acquisition of Warner Bros. By Netflix will have a direct and irreversible negative impact on movie theaters around the world. That is very true. I believe I saw a headline a couple of days ago regarding Netflix's proposed distribution of the movie and longevity of movies, of Warner Brothers movies in theaters. and it would be I think the number was 19 days, which is crazy. Imagine if The Dark Knight was in theaters for 19 days and didn't make any money because people were going, oh, and in 20 days, it'll be on Netflix. That is so crazy. I do not like that. No one likes that. No, not one person on this planet should like that, because if that continues to happen, then we will not get the movies that do well. We will not get more Avatars. We will not get more Sinners. We will not get more Spider-Mans. This may sound like it's consumer friendly, but have you seen a movie on Netflix? I've been watching this Korean action series called The Roundup, and it is so good. And I'm sure, it came out in theaters in Korea because it doesn't look like a streaming movie. But then last night I was watching the Tom Cruise starring Oblivion. The side note, I've seen that movie before. I saw the movie once before. I didn't know what happened. And then I went, I'm going to watch it again. I sat down last night and I was watching this movie and my eyes were wide open. And I went, what the fuck is going on? I don't know what's happening in that movie. There's clones. He's a clone guy. Earth was destroyed. I don't know. Andrea Riseborough gets naked, and that's what I was looking at. But we should not want a sale in general. But again, my thought is it better go to Netflix as opposed to Paramount Skydance. Continued from the quote from CEO Michael O'Leary. Such an acquisition will further consolidate control over production and distribution of motion pictures in the hands of a single dominant global streaming platform in a market that is already highly concentrated. What my favorite part about this is, and it's buried deeper into the quote, is that they are also against Paramount or any studio buying up another studio. They should have been this vocal when it came to 20th century and Disney. But X-Men is in Doomsday. If Paramount or another major studio ends up displacing Netflix as the buyer, our concerns are no less serious. A combination of Paramount and Warner Brothers, for instance, would consolidate as much as 40% of each year's domestic box office in the hands of a single dominant studio. I believe Disney... What's Disney's domestic box office? I believe they have the highest box office when it comes to... oh, God. And I think it might be like 18%. But that was years ago. Don't quote me on that. 25. It's 25%. Let me triple check this. I don't want to be wrong. Oh, in 2019 it was 33%. My goodness. In 2025, this comes from thenumbers.com. It was 22.62%. Yeah, so they're still the market leader when it comes to that. I agree. A couple of weeks ago, Seth Rogen said that it'd be, he just said it kind of as a joke, but it'd be great if AMC, and also Seth Rogen he has two shows on Apple TV. And he had Ted Sarandos in one of those shows. So I don't know whose side he's on. But anyway, Seth Rogen said it'd be great if AMC was able to buy Warner Brothers. And in a lot of cases, yes, that'd be wonderful. Warner Brothers should be running itself. And there should be a way for that company to still be existing. Because when you look at the whole of what Warner Brothers is, if they put out that Wonder Woman game, if they continue making Batman Arkham games, if they, instead of making the Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad. I played a little bit of Suicide Squad. It's not good. It's playing it on Steam Deck, and it at least features characters from the Batman Arkham series. That's all I can say about it. But I did buy it on Xbox. It was like $5 this past week, and I said I'll just buy it. I'll buy it on Xbox. Am I going to play it? I will play that before I play Gotham Knights. And I won't play Gotham Knights. I think I actually have a couple of minutes. No, I have a couple of minutes in Gotham Knights on Steam Deck. These are free games. Anyway, but I bought them on Xbox, so I still have my money. But if Warner Brothers Warner Brothers was able to continue putting out movies and doing and getting big names and releasing movies, I think it could have been, but this is years ago. It could have been self-sustaining if they didn't lose Christopher Nolan, if they had already gotten Tom Cruise, because I believe he's at Warner now, and if they had the acumen of Disney, if they were putting out hit after hit with Disney. And as much as I lament the creation of the Marvel Universe, at least that shit is making money, and at least it allows people to, or invites people to the movies. You know, it's as much as I love a movie like Weapons, they're going to have to put out more movies that are bigger and more movies like Weapons. So they're gonna, it goes twofold. Movies that are big, like the Marvel universes and all that stuff, and Star Wars, and it doesn't have to be IP, but just something that draws people in, and then Weapons that people can just talk about. Look what Zach Kreger did before. Zach, like I know him. Zach Kreger did before, after Whitest Kids You Know, but before Weapons. Whitest Kids You Know is such a funny. I love that show. But he did The Barbarian because the studio gave him a chance, and he made this hit, and people love The Barbarian. It's a fantastic movie. It's a movie I love so much that I bought it. It's fantastic. It's like two movies in one. And then he was able to do Weapons, and now we're going to get a Weapons prequel, I think. Yeah, with Amy Madigan for some reason. I don't know why we need to. I also don't know why it's called Weapons. There was one gun in it, and it was in a dream, and it was floating over the house. And Josh Brolin was looking up at it, and then that was it. And he ran to go find his child. We need to. Warner Brothers needs to put out movies and shows that I really think that it could have done if it did this years ago, and had a focus on HBO Max to a point where like they didn't delete the HBO from Max, and they weren't offloading all these shows and movies to other platforms, or just offloading other shows and movies because they don't want to pay people. That's how you retain. And I'm sure Disney has more money in order to keep shows like Pepper Ann and Teacher's Pet and Gargoyles on the platform. But even still, they got rid of movies that I never got a chance to see, like The Incredible Ivan. Is that what it's called? The Talking Gorilla movie, I think. I don't know. But what they have on Disney Plus is a lot better offer than what is available on HBO Max. Anyway, but it's not just theaters, and it's not just streaming. It's also the audiences, and they should have stuck with the HBO branding because people know that. And the real issues came after Time Warner sold Warner Brothers to AT&T. That's when the issues for Warner started. That's when the biggest thing, because AT&T should not have been running a studio. But at the time, it was a good idea for them, that they thought it was a good idea for them, because they're like, this is where money is. And then they see it's not that easy. One of my biggest concerns about Netflix owning Warner Brothers is that the Warner Brothers imprint, the HBO imprint, will just be dissolved. Not literally, but it'll just fall into under the Netflix name. And that's the same concern I have about Hulu when it comes to Disney Plus. Last night I'm on Disney Plus. I'm scrolling through things, and you get to sections where Disney has like is Disney, Star Wars, ESPN, and then Hulu was like 7 tiles down, and I just felt Hulu's the reason why you're here, Disney Plus. I wish there were a way for Warner Brothers to do this without the aid of Netflix, or without being purchased by Netflix, and without the threat of being purchased by Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus is like it's like your dad gets remarried to a very mean woman, and she's trying to adopt you, but you're like, I don't need to be adopted. I don't need to be adopted. Oh my gosh. All right, listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to celebrities sometimes. Celebrities of all types of celeb. If you want to watch a video version of this show, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy. We're going to watch a video version of the other podcasts, Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, and LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs podcast, as well as video versions of the interviews, under the interviews. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media at C Plus Comedy on Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. I'm going to keep talking until I get to the part where I fade up the song. Bye.